I'm sorry. You want me to what? Rouge the Bat stared in disbelief at the order she had just been given. Did you not hear me the first time, Agent? The GUN commander responded irritably. You're going to see a psychiatrist about your kleptomania. I do not have kleptomania, Rouge argued. I'm a former thief. Yes, the GUN commander thrust his finger at an empty spot on his desk. See, she had been made. Rouge returned the gold-plated ballpoint to its original place on desk. Okay, so I sometimes can't help myself, and on your previous mission to protect the Chaos Emerald in the Station Square Museum, when you claimed the thief had stolen an assortment of jewels during your shift but left the emerald alone? You really must think I'm stupid to not see the writing on the wall. I never. The commander held up a Ziploc bag containing a number of very familiar jewels. We recovered these from your locker earlier this afternoon. If it were up to me, you'd be court-martialed. But the president sees your skills as an asset, and you've earned some goodwill from the times you've helped Sonic save the world. But that goodwill is drying up. So you're going to see Dr. Spiral the cat to fix your inability to not steal. End of discussion. Rouge sat in the waiting room of the psychiatrist's office. She had received an urgent call from Dr. Spiral, informing her that an emergency had come up with a client, and she was referring Rouge to a colleague of hers, one Dr. Dahlia Bat. Dr. Spiral assured Rouge that Dahlia was one of the best in her field. Rouge didn't know what to make of the doctor's glowing praise, but she had little choice in the matter and had made her way to Dahlia's practice the following day. Despite Dr. Spiral's proclamations to the contrary, Rouge couldn't help but feel that Dr. Dahlia was perhaps not quite so impressive as she had been led to believe. For a start, the waiting room was rather barren. There was a desk for the secretary, a single two-seater couch with a coffee table in front of it, 2 magazines on said coffee table, and the walls, although pure white, seemed uneven in their application of paint. Then again, perhaps Dr. Dahlia had simply set up this office only recently and was too busy with patients to deal with the decorating. The intercom finally went off with Dr. Dahlia's voice coming through to ask her secretary to send Rouge in. The secretary, a young reddish-chudna with blue eyes, looked up at Rouge, who was already standing. If you'd just like to go in, the doctor will see you now, she said. Something was off about her, though. Her tone seemed unnatural, as if her mind was clouded by tiredness or some foreign substance. She was young, so she might not be used to full work days yet, or perhaps she had been helping get everything set up. Either way, she looked like she could use some rest, something her boss could possibly help her with. Rouge mused. The young woman seemed fairly normal otherwise. She had the typical Echidna spines, curled upwards at the tips, with a red fringe parted in the middle with a big black bow. She wore a teal sweater with a purple flower on the chest that would have exposed her midriff, had she not worn a black shirt underneath. Her skirt was light gray with white frilly accents and a gold belt. In addition, she wore fingerless white gloves, white strapped sandals, and a gold heart necklace. She was cute. Putting the secretary out of her mind, Rouge stepped through the door into Dr. Dahlia's office. Much like the waiting room, the doctor's office was clearly still in the middle of renovations, but was evidently much further along, probably to avoid uneven coats of paint causing distractions. The room was larger than the waiting room and more brightly lit. The lavender paint on the walls was mostly finished and looked nice alongside the peachy carpet. There were some boxes stacked up against the wall behind the simple wooden desk, likely continuing more certificates and diplomas like the ones hung above them. Before the desk, stretching out diagonally away from the corners, were a pair of couches, each of which contained the sleeping young woman. One was a blue bunny with short brown hair and a fringe extending down over her right eye. She wore a pair of small sunglasses with red-tinted lenses. The rest of her attire gave her a very punk rocker look: a black sleeveless hoodie over a black t-shirt, black shorts, and a pair of thick woolen arm warmers in black and blue stripes. Feet were bare, exposing the lighter shade of her soles, as her knee-high black boots rested on the floor beside her couch. The other girl was a white chicken with 3 red feathers on her forehead. She looked more of an adventurous type, a sleeveless brown top with a torn-up look, matching brown shorts with beige tufts on the legs, fingerless beige gloves, a light brown scarf, and a pair of black goggles with red lenses. Much like her fellow patient, her yellow feet were bare, her brown shoes, beige thigh-high socks, and light brown belt lying on the floor beside her. The doctor sat on a stool between the 2 couches. As she took notes, looked up upon Rouge's entry. She was an older woman, gray skin and long black hair with a large white streak down the middle and a red bow tied to the back. Over her red eyes and matching eyelids rested a pair of large, round glasses. Her attire consisted of a red dress, black tie, white lab coat, and black high heels. "Hi, you must be Rouge." She stood up to greet the newcomer, offering a hand, which the thief took figuratively, not literally. "Yes, Rouge replied. "Your Dr. Bat?" "Please, dear, call me Dahlia," the older woman said with a kind smile. "Are you sure you're ready to see me?" Rouge asked, angling her head to indicate the 2 sleeping girls behind the doctor. "Oh, don't worry about them," Dahlia said, looking back. "I've been taking on both my own patients and Dr. Spiral's for the day, so everything's been kinda hectic. You don't mind them being here, do you?" Rouge shrugged. "I guess not. As long as you don't mix up our suggestions, it's okay." "You mean like telling you that you're a strong, independent chicken instead of Carolina?" the doctor joked. "Don't worry, I've instructed them not to respond to my voice until I clap my hands, so your suggestions are yours alone. Here, why don't we get you sat down?" Dahlia guided Rouge towards another couch against the wall. This one looked less expensive than the other 2, but seemed no less comfortable. As Rouge gingerly planted her backside upon it, Dahlia sat on an equally comfortable-looking seat beside her. As she flipped through her notes and found Rouge's file, "It says here that you were referred to Dr. Spiral for your kleptomania." Rouge scowled at the assertion, though not at the doctor herself, as she hadn't written the file. "Let's call it self-control issues," the doctor suggested. Rouge didn't think it sounded much better, but it did help a little, and her expression became more neutral. "Okay then, Rouge, I've dealt with plenty of cases like this before, so it should be an easy fix. I'll just put you under real quick and try some positive reinforcement, and you'll be completely cured in no time. How does that sound?" Rouge still wasn't sure about this whole hypnotism thing, but if it was a quick thing, she could just get it over and done with, then leave. "All right," she said slowly. "Do you have the rule about shoes or something?" she asked, indicating towards the other 2 patients once again. "Oh, no," the doctor chuckled. "I just suggest removing footwear to help my patients relax. Here, if it'll make you feel more comfortable." The doctor kicked her own shoes off and wiggled her toes. Rouge smiled and shook her head. She leaned down and slid her boots off and let them fall to the floor with a soft thud. She couldn't deny that having her toes freed from the steel toe caps of her favorite boots felt nice and comfortable. As Rogue did this, The doctor padded over to her desk and poured some tea for the two of them. Dahlia handed Rouge one mug and the aroma filled her nose. Rouge couldn't help but take a sip and found the tea very sweet. You like it? Dahlia asked with a smile. It's my own recipe. I use it to help my clients relax. Well, it certainly works, Rouge replied. I feel great. Once Rouge had finished her drink, Dahlia took her mug and indicated for Rouge to lie back on the couch. She did so, feeling more than a little drowsy, as she sank down into the couch. Okay, Rouge, I want you to close your eyes and listen to my voice, Dahlia suggested, and Rouge obeyed. I want you to imagine a big spiral. What are your favorite colors, Rouge? Black and pink, the thief replied instantly. Nice choice. I want you to imagine a big black and pink spiral in front of you. All you can see is the spiral. Stare deeply into it and it slowly starts to spin. It's like a whirlpool, drawing you in. Your gaze is drawn to the center, the point of origin. But you can't quite tell where the spiral starts, can you? Rouge replied, more softly this time. Just keep your attention focused on that spot and I'll help you find it. Just listen to my voice and stare into the spiral. Stare deeply into the spiral. Feel the spiral draw you in. Feel the spiral envelop you. Feel the spiral consume you. You are now one with the spiral. You are the spiral, Rouge, constantly turning with no end in sight. Rouge's head began slowly rolling in a circle, as if to physically show that the doctor's words were taking hold. But all that spinning is so very tiring, isn't it, dear? So tiring to your whole body, from your head to your chest, your arms and legs, all the way down to your toes. So very tiring. Dear. Rouge's head rolling began to slow and become less perfectly circular, as her muscles began to struggle to keep moving. But you must keep going, dear. You must keep going for the most incredible thing to happen. Are you ready for the most incredible thing you've ever seen to happen? Why yes, Rouge slurred, her voice barely above a whisper. Just keep going, my little trooper. Keep going. Oh, it's starting to happen. Can you see it? The spiral is starting to change color. The pink is becoming darker and the black is becoming lighter. Do you see it? Yes, that's right. The chaos of the clashing colors is easing as they influence and change one another. The pink is darkening into a beautiful ruby red, and the black is easing off into a light gray color. The clashing colors have found harmony and it's becoming easier to keep spinning. My little spiral. Rouge's struggle eased and her rotation became more smooth. Other extremities began to rotate in perfect sync with her head. Her wrists and ankles matched her neck perfectly. But those colors, there's something about them, something familiar. They remind you of someone, but I can't quite place my finger on it. Who do they remind you of, Rouge? Rouge's mind raced through images of every person she had ever met. Red and gray. Knuckles? No. Amy? No. Eggman? Certainly not. No, there was one person who those colors reminded Rouge of. You, doctor. That's right, Rouge. Those are my colors spiraling around you. Those colors are mine. Everything that uses those colors are mine. The spiral is using my colors, so that means the spiral is yours. Very good, Rouge. But what, or rather, who, is the spiral? I'm. Yes, Rouge. You are the spiral, I'm the spiral, and that means I'm yours? Yes, Rouge. You are mine. You belong to me. You must do as I say. You must obey me. I must obey you. Very good, Rouge. Now, all that spinning has made you so very tired, Rouge. You may stop spinning, but when you do, you will fall into a deep, deep sleep, where you will obey me unquestioningly. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Then stop spinning, Rouge. Stop spinning and obey. Rouge's head, hands and feet slowed to a stop, as Rouge lay motionless on the couch. Dahlia slowly reached over towards Rouge's foot and gave it a light tickle. No response. She tried harder. Still nothing. Dahlia smirked. Rouge, I'm your mistress and you will obey me. You are my mistress. I will obey. Dahlia jumped in victory. Okay, everyone, she said loud enough for the others to hear before clapping her hands. Everyone, stand at detention on command. Rouge, the bunny and the chicken all stood at detention like soldiers awaiting their next command. Malia, close up and come inside, she called out to the front desk, where a muffled affirmation could be heard from the secretary. Before long, the echidna had entered the room, eyes glassy and lifeless, just like those of the three patients. All of you stand together in front of the desk. They did so obediently. You in the closet, you can come out now. The closet door opened and out stepped an equally entranced green cat. She was the eldest of the 6 women, wavy white hair raised behind her head somewhere between a bun and hanging freely. She wore a dark green jacket over a yellow shirt that exposed her midriff, a short black skirt and matching sandals and fingerless gloves. She had the small blue scarf around her neck and a matching ribbon tied around her left wrist. Her eyelids were a shade of blue, similar to Rouge's, and her glassy yellow eyes lay behind a pair of small, rectangular spectacles. What do you think now, Spiral? Dahlia taunted in spite of the doctor's inability to react. Now see the merit of my research. My methods have easily induced 5 young women, all of whom are now ready to begin proper reconditioning to become more productive members of society. She pointed to each woman in turn. Rouge will no longer be a thief and will, instead, be put to use stopping robberies. Carolina will put her adventuring talents to good use, making deliveries of important medical instruments rather than exploring ruins. Beat will create music with subliminal messages to help me spread my message. And you, Doctor, you will do, as I do, using your vast hypnotic talents to make people more valuable to society. Oh, and Maya will be my foot slave to help me relieve stress as a reward for all my altruistic hard work. Speaking of which, Maya, get to it. Yes, mistress, the echidna replied blankly. Foot slave. Maya will obey. She lowered herself to her hands and knees, as Dahlia sat back in the seat she had just risen from, raising her peach-colored right foot for Maya to worship. That's a good girl, Dahlia moaned. Now, the rest of you can entertain me. You are all chickens. She snapped her fingers and Rouge, Spiral and Beat all began flapping their arms and clucking like chickens. Carolina simply stood there. Carolina, why oh, right, she slapped her forehead at the realization. Okay, you are a cat, Carolina. Rouge and Beat dropped down on all fours and let out meows. Spiral simply stood at attention. Dahlia was not amused. Well, I'm not making any bunny commands, I can tell you that. Okay, Spiral, I want you to remember the Spiral we discussed when I first hypnotized you. Stare deep into it and let it become one with you. Let yourself go deeper and deeper, until I say otherwise. I obey, mistress, the cat doctor replied, swaying slightly, as the green and black spiral once more appeared in her mind's eye. Okay, Maya, take a break and I dunno, Practice on beat or something, foot slave. Malia obeys, Malia replied, as she moved over to the now napping Cat Bunny's large feet and began kissing her pale blue soles. Carolina, you are a stereotypical chicken. Cluck and flap, until I tell you to stop. Yes, mistress, the chicken responded, before acting much as her fellow patients had moments earlier. I may as well get started on your rehabilitation while I have you, Rouge. Come and kneel before me. Yes, Mistress Rouge groaned. I shall obey. Rouge knelt down before her mistress, eagerly awaiting further commands. Close your eyes, Rouge. Dahlia commanded. Close your eyes and picture the biggest, brightest jewel you've ever seen. Rouge did, as she was asked, envisioning the master emerald. As she did so, pour all of your love of jewels into his. All of your love for jewels is now invested in this one jewel before you. It entrances you and holds your full attention. Watch now, as the image slowly becomes blurry, ethereal. It's there, but it's hard to make out. It looks like it's changing shape, but you can't quite tell. Rouge's expression suggested she was struggling to make out the shape in her mind's eye, almost squinting her still closed eyes in hopes of the image becoming clearer. Open your eyes, Rouge, Dahlia cooed, as she raised her right foot for Rouge to see. Open your eyes and the image of your infatuation will become clear. Rouge's blue eyelids slowly rose, her turquoise eyes spinning for how deep she was, but still allowing her to see what she had been told to see. Before her was a pale, peach-colored foot. It was similar to her own, but a size or two larger. The object of her affection was Dr. Dahlia's foot. And there were two of them. Do you see it now, Rouge? Rouge nodded limply, a goofy wide grin spreading across her lips. You don't love jewels anymore, do you? No, your love is fixated elsewhere. You don't want to steal jewels anymore, do you? No, Mistress Rouge replied, shaking her head as limply as she had nodded. Then what do you want? Dahlia smirked, already knowing the answer. Feet. Rouge mumbled, perhaps a little embarrassed in spite of her trance. Dahlia found this cute. And what do you want to do with them? Lick them. Go right ahead, Foot Slave. Rouge. Thank you, mistress. Foot Slave. Rouge gratefully obeys. Rouge extended her tongue, slowly dragging it up her mistress' right foot from heel to toe. Enraptured with the taste, she began licking with greater and greater vigor like a puppy. Dahlia's smug grin grew wider until she was laughing heartily. She had done it. She had taken a person's criminal desires and converted them into something more useful. She was half tempted to keep Rouge on as a foot slave in place of Malia, but realized that Rouge's skills would be put to better use with her original plan. Still, she had time to enjoy her work before she sent her on her way. How is your deepening going over there, Spiral? Have you become one with the spiral yet? Yes, mistress, the cat doctor replied. I'm Spiral. The spiral you mean, Dahlia corrected, looking over at the entrance cat. No, mistress, she replied, just Spiral. Spiral punctuated her declaration with a flash of her sharp golden eyes. How? Dahlia gasped, completely transfixed. I did, as you asked, my mistress. I became one with the spiral. I became the spiral. Command loopholes are a dangerous thing in the hands of a resistant subject. Not that I'll leave any open for you. Obey. Dahlia's will quickly left her. She had known Spiral was powerful, hence why she had used the drug to leave her mind more groggy and susceptible. In a direct confrontation, without any powers like Spiral had, Dahlia was no match. I obey. Dahlia droned lifelessly. Spiral sighed, taking a moment to calm her nerves and take in the situation. Two of her patients, Bea and Carolina, were here, as was her assistant, Maya. There was also Rouge the Bat, her latest patient. Spiral recalled being made to entrance Maya and redirect her clients to Dahlia. She disliked being mentally manipulated, but she took greater issue with the manipulation of her patients. She could only hope this incident wouldn't hamper her ability to help these girls. Dahlia, turn yourself into the police and confess all of your crimes, Spiral commanded. I shall obey, Mistress Dahlia responded before marching straight out the door. Spiral let out another sigh. She gathered her three patients onto one of the couches and felt it best to have them all forget what had happened, undo any fixing Dahlia had performed, and make them think they had simply had normal individual sessions with Spiral. It would take some time to craft and enforce the scenario, but she had little choice. She could only hope Dahlia would get what was coming to her. Dahlia continued her mindless march until she was a few blocks away from her makeshift office. Once she has taken a specific number of steps, a trigger activated in her mind, bring her to a halt and awakening her from her trance. She shook her groggy head and took a moment to recall what had happened. Luckily for her, she had used self-hypnosis to implant a suggestion inside her own mind that allowed her to awaken if she was brought under the control of another person. She turned back, silently cursing Dr. Cat for her mental loophole, for getting in the way of her quest to improve society, for undoing all of her hard work, and for making her leave without retrieving her favorite shoes on the way out. She really liked those shoes.